Hello everybody. If you're watching this, then either, it's just because it's an upload for me, or, you're looking to start SFM. And there's millions of tutorials on YouTube and stuff, but, it's probably good to watch a recent one, especially with all the new things that's come out with SFM from, users and stuff. So you want to animate and you want it to be SFM. How do we get SFM? Well, first you're gonna open up your browser. Okay, mine is Brave. And then in here, you're gonna go ahead and put in Steam. And then you're gonna click enter on that, and then welcome to Steam. Install Steam right there, and then install it right here. After that, you're gonna go through an installation process, do whatever you want, and then make a Steam account, and then you're gonna open Steam. And this is my Steam profile. I'm gonna have it blurred out, though it's easy to find. You're gonna go, so when you I'm gonna blur that too. When you go to store, you're gonna see this or something a little bit different. So how do we get SFM? Now that we have Steam. So go to search the store, and you're gonna type in source space film maker, and it's gonna be right here. Then you're gonna go ahead and click the free button, and then you're gonna have that download. In about SFM, you're gonna have to have a Windows computer. You can't have a MacBook. You can't have Linux. Well, you might be able to use Linux, but I'm not sure how to get it on Linux, so you're gonna have to figure that out. And then go through the system requirements too. You're gonna need at least 15 gigabytes of space. This is a very large animation program, and even then, mine is worth like 120 something gigabytes because of how much I have on there. You're gonna go to your library and click the home. Your thing's gonna look different. But once you have it downloaded, you're going to go here to Source Filmmaker, or up here in the top corner too. You're going to click Launch, and then you're going to click Launch Source Filmmaker. So your thing may look a little different when you first open this. When it comes to SFM, you're not going to have any recent sessions or any of that, but I'm going to show up a warning on screen. If you have that warning, then your graphics card is either not detected by SFM or not supported. I'll leave a link in the description of how you can make SFM detect your graphics card. Me personally, I'm not going to go through that because my graphics card is just fine. So when it comes to the Source Filmmaker, it looks very, very overstimulating, no? So, new session, self-explanatory. This is what you're gonna name your file. It, legit anything. The directory is where you're gonna save your files. Me personally, I keep them in the SFM area. I just have my own folders right here, all of that stuff. I'm gonna go choose tutorial, because that's the one that's what I'm doing. And frame rate, you get to pick your frame rate. I recommend 30 or 60. That is all you'll be needing to use, but I recommend 30. So we're going to go ahead and click 30 and go to name, and just name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it tutorial 1, or I guess I already have 101. And then recent session, you're going to see a whole bunch of your sessions that you've recently opened, and you can do all of that. There's also the meet the heavy, engineer and soldier, all of that stuff. Open a session is for whenever you download something from the workshop, or you want to open a session that's not in here. We're going to go ahead and go back to new session and click create right here. And then you're going to see that it kind of looks like this. What do we do? So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. When I first did SFM, or started doing SFM, this confused me a lot. You have the choice to download a map from the workshop, which I'll teach you in just a second, or use something built into the SFM, one of SFM's maps. So we're gonna go ahead and go to Steam, and we're gonna go over back here and click workshop, and then you're gonna find a whole bunch of things, and then search Source Filmmaker, and you can just search up FNAF. How about that? So you're gonna see a whole bunch of things here, and this is gonna look all crazy and insane to you. The majority of these models most likely will be a drive, like this one right here. But yeah, you see this you're gonna have to put it into your SFM yourself, which will be in some tutorial soon. But you know, there's gonna be a whole bunch of models here for you. This is a map model, so it's gonna be a model as a map. You're gonna go over here and click map right here, and you can pick any that you may want. I'm gonna go ahead and find one that's really popular. We can go ahead and use this Five Nights at Freddy's 3 map. That's okay, that's fine by me. So you're gonna just click subscribe right here, and this pop-up will show up saying subscribe to these, and just click subscribe to all. I'm gonna find a map that I don't have in this case. I'm gonna just subscribe to this, and you know, it'll be like, this will pop up. You just click OK, and then you're gonna, if something like this pops up, just click yes to all. Now, if you want to be able to find your map, you can either go down in here and copy these, like right click and copy, or Control C. When you want to use the map or whatever map you want to use, you're gonna right click in here, load map, and you're gonna put in what you want. And in my case, it's gonna be the FNAF 3 map. And click enter, and then the map will load. Keep in mind, SFM is a 32-bit system app, so it will crash a lot. Spam Control S with your life. Cannot stress that enough. Like, this thing crashes a lot, and you're gonna need to save constantly. So Control S, burn that into your memory. So now that we're here, you're gonna just see a black screen. You know, what are we supposed to do? I can't see. So you're gonna go ahead, right click, enable lighting right here, and now you're gonna be able to see. For some maps, you're gonna have to look around and look up to be able to see. Hold left click to be able to navigate around, and then when it comes to this, just W, A, S, D, Z, and X. Those are the keys that you really just need to know. And then when it comes to, like, imagine if you're lagging, because I might lag a little bit once I spawn in a model. Go ahead and right click, render settings, and turn both of these off. This is just for animation wise. You can turn these back on later. It will really help you not lag and crash less. And you know, when it comes to these maps, you may be thinking like, oh, where's all the props? This is like really empty, you know, like there's nothing. You're gonna go ahead, right click, draw game entities, and then other entities, and then this will pop up. SFM Bloom sucks, basically. Never use it. You know, let's find a place to go. And then when it comes to models, you're just going to do the same process that you did with maps. Like, for an example, I'll just search up Springtrap, and I can get rid of the map filter right there. I'm going to see a whole bunch of Springtrap models, and you're just going to go through the same process of subscribing it to it and all that stuff. And then how do we add a model in the first place? You're going to go ahead into the animation set editor, click the plus, create animation set for new model, click that, and then search up the model that you want. And in my case, it's going to be Springtrap. So now that we have that, what else do we do? So if you see down here, there's work camera. This is the camera that you're going to use to work and all of that stuff, you know? Because these lines right here, this is how you're going to render your stuff. This is your render view right there. It's a camera that your animation is going to use. To switch to the animation camera, you click on this, and camera 1. Go to work camera though, and then click this plus, create animation sets for existing elements, and then click camera 1, and now you have control over your camera, and you can animate it and stuff. To be able to do stuff, because you know, if I click this, you can't manipulate and animate a camera through the viewport and timeline. So I'm gonna have to either go to the timeline and go to here and here. These two are very important places in basically what you're going to be seeing for almost your entire SFM animation stuff. The motion editor is something that you use for posing and all of that stuff. The graph editor is for what you use to animate. So now that we're in here, yours may look a little different. I have a certain setting in here on, but you're going to click camera 1, and you're going to turn that bloom down. Then you're going to go ahead and just use the controls I told you, and your scroll wheel changes the depth of field. What I'm gonna focus on is getting a pose done. So use floating a little bit, and you know how I did this, right? How do I do that? Hold down control and then just select one of these. and there's going to be things down here. They do say different things. So select, this just kind of gives you nothing. And then this is how you move the character, like up, forward, and backwards, and down, right, and left. And you can also do these. But Control Z and Control Shift Z is also a huge lifesaver for me. Control Z undo stuff, and Control Shift Z redo stuff. Anyways, we're gonna go get him on the ground. If we look at him, he's a bit tiny, don't you think? So if you want to be able to scale him up, you're gonna go over here to either his root transform or his pelvis. I just personally do the pelvis. I'm kind of disorganized. And right click, add scale control to transforms, and then this little thing will pop up right here. You click it. Click this once if it has that little thing all the way down, and then you can size him to whatever you're liking. Make him bigger, smaller. So I'm just gonna do something where you can only see his spine. When it comes to this, there's also this thing right here. I don't really use these unless it's for the jaw. But you see what it does. The thing that I use and a lot of animators use the most is this. You hold this and then you just spin it. You get a free control, and you can also do this and this. In some cases, what if you accidentally do this and your model does something like this? Right click on your thing right here and then reset pivot, and it will go back to normal. Yeah, let's get to posing. With things like eyelids and stuff, you're gonna right click on here, rotation mode, and set this to local. Now we got our thing posed, right? So let's go over the camera a little bit. So imagine that you're here and you want like a little blur behind the character. Right click, render settings, turn this back on, depth of field in subpixel jitter A, and go here and set this to whatever you want. If you have a high-end PC, I recommend 128 or 256. I personally just go with 64. It renders faster, and then you're just gonna click OK, but it still didn't do anything. So go back to your motion editor, go to focal distance, and you're gonna see this thing. You're gonna put this like around between the character's eyes, and then you're gonna go to aperture and turn that up to whatever you like. And then you'll have blur. So now we know how to pose, and we know how to have blur behind our character. How do we light this? You're gonna go back here, render settings, ambient occlusion, and turn that on. And now that will look different. Right click on here, enable light ink, and then we're gonna go to this plus here, create animation set for new light. Now this is where my personal preference and some others come in. When it comes to lighting, you can move it around like this, just manually and stuff, but I personally like to go to the light and hold left click and drag it into here, and then you will be able to control the light through your camera view. So we're gonna go ahead and go here, and then if we want shadows, go to shadow filter size, turn that down all the way, and then turn the shadow 8 and down to almost all the way. You're gonna also turn down the intensity because you don't want your lights to be too bright. And then radius, this will smooth out your shadows or harden your shadows depending on the slider. With the slider all the way down, the shadows are gonna be hard. With the radius up, it will smooth your shadows. You won't see it in here or in here, which we'll be going over here in the next video. You'll only be able to see it in here. You see how the light spreads? That is because of the radius. Also, if you want to be able to copy anything, just right click on what you want to copy animation sets, and then right click again, paste animation sets. If you want to be able to like mess with your model a little bit, right click on the model, and then you can either go to set body groups and mess with all of these, or you can go to get skin or set skin, and then just click on it and put it to your liking. So now that we have this, it just kind of looks like white, you know? So I want to be able to give my thing some color. So scroll down here and you see these color things? So if you were to slide the red and the green all the way up, that becomes a blue. So whatever slider is left out is what the colors will be. You see? Because this turns into red. And also, if you want those cool, like, little light things, right click and enable volumetrics, and then mess with the volumetric intensity and noise strength. And yeah. Okay, sorry if you hear my cat meowing in the background, but yeah, you know how to light now. If there's anything that you want me to mention in the next tutorial or in any other tutorials, please let me know. If this helps you, then let me know and I will continue this series. Thank you for watching.